Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Monday at 11:26 a.m., March 22nd, the start of a new week. Well, nothing spectacular. The only thing that's notable from a global standpoint is probably the Turkish lira just completely falling off the face of the planet with a 14% rip on a Sunday afternoon. That's crazy. Fiat currency. These people playing with 19th century, even older, just conceptually deprecated, outdated technology. Crypto's new. This is not easy for old people to understand. And it's even harder for an old system to digest relative to its potential and what it means for competition or its effect on old legacy systems. They're barely processing it. Meanwhile, we got engineers around the world, and I don't want to just group it as adolescents, but persons of less age that have a capacity to understand the technology, what it is, and more so, not just what it does, but what it means. This is meaningful technology. You get a little emotional sometimes thinking about it, talking about it. Why it was introduced, the power of what it does, and what it means for us in our daily lives and the choices we can make, choices we make where we apply value, what we're purchasing, why we're purchasing it. We buy assets because they have meaning. It's not just we want them to go up in price. We hope they do. And we're choosing assets that we hope go up in price because the projects are relevant. The technology is profound, and the implications for their usefulness, even more meaning. Disruptive. So the effects on status quo systems, well, disruptive. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here. So let's talk about my portfolio a little bit today. I don't think I've ever really titled an entire stream. Let's talk about Noah's portfolio. I'm not going to show you guys numbers. I'll talk percentages, but I'll give you guys some good insight into my balance and the risk that we all are taking and how I address that risk very specifically. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial, DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam! Let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Got Digilight in the house. Three Darkness, yes. So let me go through the intros. Let's see who's here, and I'll talk about that. Yes, I do have the three dark nodes. Arf in the house, the great Dadsby. Whoop whoop. Heirloom in the house. Arf Keep It Down has done almost 5 billion USD in flash loans since V2 launched in November. Keep It Down is a big deal. I love the tech. I technically don't have any Rook right now. I don't have the risk appetite. If there was a dollar stablecoin paired position, I'd have an appropriate size position. Which is actually, well, I'll talk about something I have in my portfolio that I just picked up, a risk-on position. Um, I don't have many risk-on positions, and the risk-on plays that I do have been risk minimized because I bought them so cheap. I'll elaborate. Um, ARF says, for reference, Aave lifetime flash loan volume stands at 2 bill. Yeah, keep it down, it's a big deal. Won't me not taking a position at this point in time has nothing to do with the technology. Talked about it many times. Had substantial positions at many times. But you have to respect the portfolio for the portfolio to respect you. Shit, it went from 800 to like 350. I'm not going to sit through that. The irrational market actors that don't have a capacity to appreciate the technology and hold an asset that they bought, they buy it and sell it. What a ridiculous market. So I'm not going to sit down through a 65% drawdown. That's crazy. Don't sit through drawdowns. If something goes up for a volatile asset, you liquidate it. Nothing personal. It's just business. I say that a lot nowadays. Duncan's in the house. Let's go. R from a Rook Bull. I'm a Rook Bull too. I am. RR, what's up? Barry. Yes, Craig's in the house. White Wolf. School is in session. All right, let me start with Digilight. Digilight mentioned three dark nodes. Now, for me, you can't liquidate them because they're dark nodes, and I don't care whether it takes a month to gain access to the underlying assets. I'm not going to liquidate a damn dark node. I bought them for 90% less than they cost now, and they're potentially a recurring revenue stream. All the logic and rationale in the world says it's a risk-on position because it's exposure to REN. But fundamentals, tokenomics, substantial amount of rent is removed from circulation, locked in dark node bonds. The recurring revenue stream, the potential for the recurring revenue stream in the future, combined with the fact that I purchased it for 90% cheaper than it currently is, I have zero thought in my mind to liquidate such a position ever. I mean, literally, the base is $1. My Ren positions were at 6 cents. So there's no temptation whatsoever to liquidate. Now, obviously, the stream is me talking about my portfolio. For a person contemplating getting a dark node at this point, that's a significantly different self conversation to have with oneself, and that's not something I'll talk about at this moment. When I get my financial advisor's license, then we'll be able to discuss the risks versus the rewards, the yield, the recurring revenue stream, the how it factors into a portfolio with regard to position sizing. You got to respect your position sizing. A risk on position at $1.10 was $1.10 at this point. I mean, you got to sit through this thing going. I mean, there is good argument to say the dollar has been a floor. We've had some significant pullbacks in the crypto macro assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Ren is held above $1. That's crazy. I mean, there was a year, an entire year, rent to $1. Yeah, clearly, folks were saying rent to 10. I see $10 at this point. There's no reason it can't hit 10. You got so many assets. I got the Lazy Ape up on CoinGecko. That's by far my favorite asset right now. I mean, look at the valuations that are above $1 billion. Where's rent right now? It's probably at 1 billion change. Yeah, a bill. So Ren's at a bill. Come on, look at these billions. You telling me Ren can't be at 5 bill? You got Tron at 4.6. Tron will be using Ren. Solana will be using Ren. They'll all be using Ren. And even if they have their own homebrew or whatever, smart contract, custodial services, or whatever they come up with for their bridges, Ren has its purpose, its infrastructure, it's a utility. So all these major players, obviously Ethereum, Binance, BSC, Cardano, Polkadot, down the list is Stellar, Theta, but down the list is Cosmos, Elrond. They'll be using this product. It's too useful. It's too powerful. So it has its place in a portfolio. For me, that's the non-liquidatables. I got a fair amount of them actually. The non-liquidatables is Cosmos, which I bought for like $2 a pop. It's running around at $20. So there's literally, and it's a yield-bearing asset, inflation derived. It's a proof of stake. There's no logic in the world to liquidate something that's up that much, that is interest bearing, and it's one of the core components of the Chinese national blockchain implementation, which you can digest and understand better vis-a-vis the BSN and all the branches that have emerged from the BSN and the narratives and stories that could be told. Another one of the non-liquidatables is Curve. My entire position was at like 25 cents, 30 cents. So running around at $2.60. Plus, it's all locked in VE Curve. Couldn't liquidate if I wanted to. It's locked for 4 years. I did that on purpose. And that, frankly, Curve is 5% of the portfolio. 5%. A juicy 5%. Let me just say that. John McGuire, have been building my portfolio, have trouble finding an appropriate tool for following portfolio performance in one place. LPs, yield farming. We're going to want to go to Zappify. So most most of the normal DeFi protocols will display in Zappify. You also want to use DBank to make sure you got your permissions under control, your approvals, so to speak, and DBank will show you stuff like that. So Zappify will show you a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go over that right now. But Zappify is very useful. It doesn't show a lot of the new stuff. No Urine Lazy Ape, no the new pools, no new incentivized pools on 1inch. It'll miss out on the new stuff. But they try their best to keep up. Squatchy's in the house, always a pleasure. Mr. Bought Ren at 8 cents and sold at 30 like a loser or a smart person. Well, it's not like a loser. You made 400% profit. Come on, it's a big deal. But the purpose of Ren is only one for a dark node bond. So, don't shoot yourself in the foot, or don't feel like you made a bad decision taking 400% gains. Come on, that's massive. Then again, I've been holding Rooks at 70 cents like a degenerate. So $70, man. Should have look. You sold Ren at 30 cents. If you so this is important. That's your that's not your ideology, but that's what you did. Should have done it again. Should have sold Rook at $800. That's crazy. But you're holding it. So these you have to follow your own rules, and that was your rule. You liquidated Ren, and that rule should have been followed. Find your rules and stick to them. And that's how you have consistency and predictability in the choices that you make. Not that it was a mistake not liquidating at 800, but what's it at right now? All right, that's you still up big. That's massive gains compared to a $70 entry. Come on, that's huge. My that was my entry. I got it 65. Pretty cool. What a heck of a platform. Now it's going to take some time, just like Ren did when they had their chaos net. This will take a year or two. Now, depending on your risk tolerance and your position sizing, 1, 2, 3% of your portfolio, you could gamble. But here's the thing, the odds are it's not 1, 2, 3% of your portfolio. You get 30%, 40%, 50% value allocated to a highly volatile asset. I mean, this thing was $800. It's 55, 60% lower. 30% in the last 30 days. Fuck that. Now, if it's a dollar stablecoin pairing, which is one of my larger positions with Ethereum, then that's cool because that mutes the downside depreciation. And I use Alpha Homora for that. Impermanent protection, boys and girls. I've talked about this. Impermanent loss to the upside, impermanent protection to the downside. So my position is decent. So this is the only Ethereum I have. This is all the Ethereum I have, other than cash for DeFi transactions, if it ever loads. Stelios in the house, still holding Bitcoin until Mount Everest on the cycle, still waiting for L2 staking or BNT finally. Can't pay 350 years for the deposit. Yeah, BNT contracts are very expensive. Bitcoin is the hold. I have full risk on Bitcoin. I've held more. I've at points in time had 60, 70% of the portfolio in Bitcoin. Other points in time, or as of right now, it's 30 I'm sorry, 15, 20%. There's just too much opportunity. And the vast so for the last like month or two, Bitcoin was outperforming the portfolio, but May to September of last year, my entire portfolio one because of not holding Bitcoin, because the altcoins were outperforming. And I now hold actually the same amount of Bitcoin that I did when I started my portfolio, probably, started the newer time range of my portfolio, probably in 2019, late 2019, and then 2020 hit. But I 20 late 2019 is a very different portfolio as compared to like 2017, 2018. Very different times, and obviously we went through our big depreciative cycle in Bitcoin, and late 2019 I was putting money in, and then the last money I put into Bitcoin was March 2020. I bought a Bitcoin at about $3,000. That was pretty cool. It was going straight down, and I snagged the Bitcoin. So that was the last Bitcoin. But I have the same amount of Bitcoin that I did in March of 2020, that last Bitcoin I purchased. Um, and Bitcoin currently accounts for 25% of the portfolio. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, about 25%, 22.5%, let's say. 25% of the portfolio is dollars. More. More. Just USDC is 25% of the portfolio. DAI is 10%. 10% of the portfolio is DAI. 25% USDC. Now, bear in mind, all these are gaining interest. I mean, I got the DAI, the USDC is split in here. So if you go over here, you see there's the USDC portion of the Uniswap LP position, and that's the Ethereum. But I mean, I aggregated actually, delta, the split. I consider this dollars and Ethereum. I don't aggregate it with regard to the Ethereum valuation. But this Ethereum valuation will go up and down depending on the price action. But it's dollar stablecoin paired. So it's protective to the downside and will mute the upside. Montana says, dealing with very difficult client now, hearing Noah's soothing voice talking tokenomics soothes my nerves. The last thing anyone should ever do is get frustrated or anxious, or should never take irrational action. The best action to take is nothing if you don't have a clear mind of what to do. Risk off. Put the cash in Aave. You're going to get 5 to 10%. I mean, come on, guys. You got a checking account that's giving you 0%, and the bank's making the money, and it's a hot mess, and you throw it into Aave, you get 10% on your dollars, 5% on your dollars, and you can borrow cash. Point and click, and you borrow cash. You get dollars at 10.92%, permissionless. You can borrow Ethereum at 4.92%. You go over to Alpha Homura, you go over to earn on interest. I mean, this isn't the most lucrative play, but if you borrow Ethereum at 5% and then you're blending it at 8%, come on, you're making 3% on an asymmetrically appreciating asset, which means over the course of a year, you'll have 3% more Ethereum that has appreciated. And then you'll have to repay the debt, of course, but your the asset you've borrowed is growing in value faster than the debt on the asset, which means you're winning. And that's called a cash and carry trade, boys and girls. Now, you probably want to try and finagle more than 8%. Probably do that through Yearn or a couple of other places to think of, or at least to attempt to think of. But it's so cheap. Look at this cheapness, 4.92%. That's incredible. And Yearn, well, I wish there was a fixed rate, 3.21%, because you could get like 40% on Yearn for YFI. So this was recently updated, and what I get a kick out of is seeing some of the strategies. And I really want to know the three-pool Alpha Homura V2 strategy, because I would like to implement that. They were getting some significant leverage yield on Curve's three-pool. But these now show some of the strategy involved. Most of the V1s are pretty simple, like the curve pools are pretty simple. But check it out on Yearn. Lends YFI on Cream, Ave, Alpha, Homura to gain yield. So it's lending YFI for 40% yield? I wonder how it's doing that. 36%. Because on Ave, the lending of YFI, you're only getting a 0.5%. So I'm curious in how that percentage is accruing. Lending on an Ave is not going to be quite lucrative. Anyway, in any regard, it's a variable borrow rate. So I'm not interested in that. I'll pay the 4% instead of the 1.53%. I'll pay the 10.92% instead of the 3.85%. Stable is everything because when then this shoots up to 30, 40, 50% when there's a liquidity crunch, yeah, you're going to wish you had the stable. Stelios 50, Eduardo 50%, Bic 50% N BTC, 20% Ethereum, 10% shitcoin, and 10% cash for dips. So you have your rules. Stick to your rules. And if you find reason to adjust your rules, that's okay. But you should fight the temptation to adjust your rules. Oh, hey, Cruz, look what you brought up. ARNXM and WCREST. So WCREST has exploded. Damn, where did that come from? I've had a position in WCREST for a while, and it was dormant, and it was just sitting. And frankly, I'm okay with the position size. I just have 100 WCREST. Bought it for like $200, $300. Now it's at $2,500. I'm not complaining. Sit on this for a couple of years, and they'll be one of the biggest banks on the planet. And all you needed was 0.01% of your portfolio. I'm not going to add to it. I'm not going to sell it. It was a point zero. It was literally a 200, couple $100. That was forget about it money. So that's interesting. You bring up WCrest. That was this is quite happy seeing what it has done. And NXM. Now we're talking. So I took a big position in that. I took 1%. I took a 1% position in ARNXM, which is wrapped WNNXM, which is wrapped NXM. Um, so you get 26% interest on basically collateralized insurance collateral or something like that. And point being, it's not appreciated for what it is, what insurance is going to be. And there's only two insurances really. I believe there's cover in some regards, but it's really NXM, Nexus Mutual, and ArmorFi, which is like a layer on top of Nexus Mutual. But they did one beautiful job in presenting a palatable, digestible interface for insurance, especially with the smart cover system that automatically uses Zappify to process your positions to give you prospective insurance policies and coverage quantities. So ARNXM is that position. I mentioned the only thing I took recently, and that it's a 1% position in ARNXM. Doesn't mean throw around 20%, boys and girls. Doesn't mean I'm all in. I'm the last thing from a degenerate. In fact, I'm the person who takes the least risk possible. I don't care if I get 10%, 20%, 30%. I want to protect every dollar, even Ethereum, which is why the only Ethereum I hold is paired with dollars. Bitcoin has a longer history than Ethereum, so Bitcoin does have that risk on position. And frankly, I bought it for like 70% less than it currently is worth. So you can let that stuff sit. And that's the same sentiment for Cosmos. Bancor I bought for like 30, 40 cents. Polkadot, what was that, like $2? Now it's at 37. Synthetics was every synthetics I owned was free. Um, I was so in synthetics in March of last year when everything was collapsing. Synthetics was 70 cents, which was up huge from where it was in 2019. But synthetics was 70 cents, and it was just, I had just such a large position. It was just throwing out like 800 synthetics a week. And now everything I have is just interest. It was escrowed, and then I moved it over to L2, and now you get a couple of synthetics a week, just compounding. So synthetics is an incredible asset. So that's part of the I don't need to liquidate it position. It's currently 1% of the portfolio. No, um, it's yeah 1%. It's about 1% of the portfolio. It's about right. So look at all these 1%. Wrapped at NXM 1%, synthetics 1%. Polkadot's running around at 2%. Bancor is about 2.2%. Sorry, guys. Cosmos is running around at 4%. It's about 4%. Sorry, guys. Oh my God. The um the phone when it rings goes through the computer, and when it goes through the computer, it doesn't stop. So I literally have a cell phone ringing in my ear this entire time. All right, there we go. Let's keep it going. Band protocol, I have a little bit of, but I bought it at a fraction of what it's at. That's literally 0.5%. It's 0.5. Aave is another 0.5%. I wish I had more Aave, so I'm under positioned in Aave. Let's keep it going. What am I missing in the stream? I don't want to miss your comments. Can you discuss your strategies for bringing Bitcoin over to DeFi? What are your thoughts on it? Yeah, Bitcoin's the best collateral there is. There's no reason it shouldn't be in DeFi. The reason I don't have my Bitcoin currently in DeFi is because I keep it in CeFi for easy access to dollars. Like BlockFi and Celsius, you could literally get 1% dollar loans. And if you're going to pay taxes, you borrow the money. Don't give the government your money. Don't sell Bitcoin to pay taxes. You borrow dollars, and then you're literally getting 5 to 10% on your dollars. You're literally paying taxes for free off interest. So that's just my logic there. But if you have Bitcoin, you just throw it into the Ren bridge, and you have Ren BTC, and you can do whatever you want with Ren BTC. You can literally convert it to WBTC. You got collateral here, and you could borrow dollars. And WBTC is just immensely valuable in the DeFi space. Basically, everything I've talked about for the last year is based on collateral and interest and yield and debt positions and that type of strategy, and how to finagle DeFi to produce gains. And Bitcoin is a pristine collateral, as Raul so eloquently says. Noah, does putting insurance for some LPs required to pay again ETH fee? I can't. Haven't searched on how it's done. Can you help? Yeah, ArmorFi. Just go to ArmorFi. You take your LP positions, you go to ArmorFi. It's going to use Zapperfy to scan. See, it's scanning your wallet, and it'll tell you what LP's positions you have. So currently, I actually don't have any LP positions. Well, I do. I'm sorry, Alpha. So let's see if it detects Alpha. Or maybe there is no coverage for Alpha, unfortunately. Alpha. Alpha Hamora. And I want like 120 Ethereum. Let's see if it'll offer it. If it has, I think it just said 454 Ethereum I could get coverage. Yeah. So that's not a bad idea. What I have in here? Let's see what I got. I think it was like 114. Sure. So that's not a bad idea to get coverage. Cover selected. Do I have any Ethereum to pay for it at the moment? No, I need that. I need that for cash. All right, so maybe, I mean, bear in mind, the interesting thing is you're going to want insurance, but these protocols have been so de-risked. There's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in these protocols. So I'm not feeling the risk. I'm just not. Just saying. Most difficult decision in my life so far was accept that I will never sell a part of my Bitcoin holdings and to get used to not losing my mind with numbers going up and down. Just have focus. Yeah, I agree with that. I myself share that sentiment with regard to my Bitcoin position. I have no interest in liquidating, and I have interest in acquiring. Maybe if you know, I'm not gonna. I don't know. It's a complicated topic. Are you gonna buy Bitcoin at 400,000, 300,000? Are you gonna take profits from these other assets and put it into Bitcoin? I don't know. I think going forward over the next couple of years, the perspective to have is you have Bitcoin now. You're a legacy. You're a grandfathered into Bitcoin, and you have access to all this collateral. And that's what it is. It's all about collateral. The entire legacy financial system is all about collateral. They don't spend money. What they do is they use cash flow to pay down debt. So you have your Bitcoin, you borrow whatever, 1 to 5%, let's say, is the interest rate on some dollars that you borrow. You borrow 100 grand worth of dollars. And the rest of your assets are producing a revenue stream paying down debt. So bam, you just got your dollars and your assets are paying off your debt. And that's how it works. That's just how it works. And to top it all off, your assets should be producing more than your debt payment. So if you owe 100 grand and your assets are producing a quarter million a year, you're putting the other 150 into Bitcoin. So now you're bumping your collateral at the end of the year. You literally ended the year with more Bitcoin than you started, and you paid off your debt. So now next year, when you want to take a salary, you could borrow more instead of less, and you've increased your principal. That's the type of mentality that's required to be wealthy. Stacking, if you take some of your long-term ETH stack and throw it into USDC LP, are you treating that as a capital transaction? Yeah, these are all taxable transactions, all this shit. Anytime you take an asset and convert it to an LP position that has an LP token, these are all taxable transactions. So you're going to want to have token tax on your side. Is it tokentax.io? App.tokentax.co. And they'll handle your crypto taxes for you. So pay your taxes. And if you're angry about having to cough up, like I have to pay these fuckers $150,000, probably. I don't see why I'm not going to have to do that. I'm going to be quite disappointed about it. Not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to pay them. I'm going to try my best not to. And you pay them, and then you're angry at the system. I'm angry at the system. You think I'm happy about that? Not in the slightest. But that doesn't stop me from being compliant with what's necessary. Because Big Daddy's not going to jail. I'm just saying. Can you recommend any good resources for learning technical analysis? I don't know. You got to get a feel for the charts. Um, it's not something to be learned. It's something to be appreciated. Just looking at this chart, there's a story that could be told. What is this, the 4 hour? There's some art in here. Look, it's just pretty, especially with the indicators and the oscillators and the other pieces of information laid on top of just the price action. It's an elegant chart. You can really see the emotions that went into pushing the price up to where it got to, and then the fear that dipped down, and then the hope, and then the fear. And this is clearly an inverse head and shoulders at this point, after the fact, hindsight. And then it ripped up. And now what we have is in this. So literally, you have exuberance, fear, hope, indecisiveness. And that's what's right here is indecisiveness. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? How's inflation? How's deflation? What's the Fed doing? What are the equities markets doing? Has Peter Schiff tweeted yet? He hasn't? All right. Don't pull the buy trigger. Peter Schiff hasn't put in the bottom signal yet. So literally, you can look at this and see the emotions. It's a nice 100 SMA, rip past the 200 EMA and the 200 SMA. Look what's going on in the 50 SMA. We're about to have a bearish cross, short-term bearish cross at the 50 SMA and the 100 SMA. Maybe it'll rip to the upside and the 50 SMA will skim right off the 100 SMA. That'd be nice to see. What's the odds of that? I bet we see the bearish cross and Ethereum pushes down towards the 200 EMA and the 200 SMA. I mean, that's some serious support when you got a 200 EMA SMA crossover. That's a lot of support. And you can see this on Bitcoin as well. Let's go over to the daily for a second for the fun of it. I mean, listen, on the daily, look at those guppies, man. Though to me, when I see guppies like this, that is support. I mean, this is like Willy Woo territory. When I see this, I'm like, Willy Woo says, you're not going back to Bitcoin like 25, 30, 35, upper 30s, 38, 40,000. So what, Ethereum? You think you're going to get to 700, 800, 900? All right, maybe if there's a black swan event like 1100, 1200, 1300, but look at that support. Wow. That is crazy. Like here, you can see look at the compression of the even the shortest term guppies. And you could clearly see we were overextended here as the guppies expand out. But as the guppies compress like this, that's such support. And to top it all off, look at that. The daily, look at the Stoke completely bottomed out. Wow. There's no doubt. For this to push through guppies like that, that's like drilling through concrete. Especially with the Stoke bottomed out like that, just the sentiment is not there. The fear is not there. Um, Notice Alpha has a perp USDC pool, perp leveraged LPs. Do you think that's how they're accomplishing their leverage positions? Unknown, but you are making me want to look at it because anything with the USDC pairing uh is de-risk is devolatilized. Volatilize the word. Devolatilized a little bit, which is exactly what I like to do. But perp isn't that their governance asset? If perp is a derivative product that's a manifestation of leveraged LPs, yeah, you're going to have me looking into that one. But I don't know if that's the case. Arf, have you heard of MPH? Yeah, MPH is cool. I'm not a fan of time locking. Um, I don't, I want, so part of DeFi is to get away from legacy financials and bonds and coupons and all that shit that they did with time. No, not for me. I want my interest and I want it now. Thank you, Ave. That real time interest is that calculation is nothing like that. There's nothing like Ave. My man Craig, do you know if BNT is withdrawable one to one with BNT? No. So BNT, VMBNT are not the one to one peg right now. Oh yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. I know that. I say that because you're making a good point. I don't think it's one to one. You're probably paying a premium for the BB&T, I think. I don't even know. I don't think it's mature enough for me to use it as a purchase because I know that you need the corresponding amount of VB&T to have access to your B&T. But if you buy VB&T, how do you withdraw B&T? You know what I'm saying? So my B&T that are associated with my address that are currently staked are locked because or aren't locked because I have the required amount of VB&T in the account. If I didn't have the VB&T in my account, I wouldn't be able to access my underlying BNT. So if you have VB&T, it doesn't lend itself to you to gain access to BNT. You already have to have BNT. But the thing is, VBNT is it's gonna be bid up in price significantly, especially as it's burned, because persons that want their underlying BNT will need to acquire less of a supply, less of a circulating supply because it's being burned of VBNT. So it's going to be bid up in price. So VBNT could become quite valuable, actually. I don't think, considering the vortex, it's not going to be one to one. VBNT is going to become much more valuable than BNT. Yeah. So your last question, would they unstake more than originally staked? No. That doesn't make logical sense the way it's going to work. I think you understand what I just said. Makes sense. VBNT gives you access to what the BNT that you already have staked. If you have VBNT unto itself, that's all it is VBNT unto itself, which I think is going to be a significantly appreciative asset. What pool do you utilize for BNT? I use BNT. Oh, what BNT pool? I don't know. Let's take a look. Does it matter? I don't think it matters much. I have my BNT in the DAI BNT pool. I have some BNT in the Ethereum BNT pool, just to help out, just a little bit. Yeah, that's what I got. Johnny Turbo, Noah, do you have any chance to have a look at Y-Axis in their MetaVault? It's new. You caught my eye with that, but I haven't looked at it. And it's not that I would take a position anyway. Very, very picky to buy and quick to sell. If I'm going to buy something, it's got to be freaking good. And that's what happened here. This stuff is crazy. I mean, this thing is crazy. Now I love these vaults, but to get in and out of them and to get you just managing curve is expensive. You're dealing with lots of gas. But this is just, and this is that makes this the most incredible derivative I've seen yet in the crypto space. This is probably the most interesting asset I've come across in the entire crypto space yet. That's what YLA is. It's literally a derivative of of a vault. If the vaults had a token like an LP token, this would be a derivative of a derivative. But this is called a derivative asset because it's an actual token representing a position in vaults, which vaults are managing LP positions on Curve. This is the coolest derivative product I think I could think of right now. Definitely my favorite. Redeem. So I have a little bit. Not a little bit. It's a fair amount. I'm not a whale. I'm not throwing around with 100. Not 0xB1 running around with $500 million. Not enough to say I've done well over the last year. So this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It's literally a meta aggregate of vaults, of urine vaults, compressed into a single token, YLA. Look, I have access to literally these Curve LP tokens. That's so cool. Let's keep it going. We're going to wrap it up in a couple minutes, but I want to get to your questions. Noah, have you had a chance to look at? No, I did not. I mentioned. Ryan, you were tweeting about the other side of impermanent losses and permanent protection. Can you please explain? Sure. So if you go over to Alpha, okay, it's not loading. But point being, you've heard of impermanent loss. If Ethereum goes up in value and you have Ethereum paired with USDC, you're going to have less Ethereum because people are buying the Ethereum. They're taking the Ethereum out of the pool. So the pool is going to have more USDC as compared to Ethereum. If people are selling Ethereum, you're going to have more Ethereum than USDC. So if people are selling Ethereum, your LP position is going to give you more of the cheaper Ethereum. That's impermanent protection. You now have more Ethereum that costs less, that's worth less dollars. So that's as simple as that. It's balance. Permanent losses, you have people are buying it, so there's less Ethereum. So you have less Ethereum that's worth more because they bought it because it went up in price. So that balancing effect against a stable asset gives you that impermanent loss and impermanent protection. So paired pooling with a dollar asset is dollar value protective. The BNT pools are the protected pools and permanent loss protection are asset quantity protective. Food for thought. So as you guys can see, I'm extraordinarily risk averse, but I have my Bancor and permanent loss protected pools, but I also have my double-sided pools. They both serve a purpose. They have a different effect. Therefore, they contribute different functionality to the portfolio. Arf, any Data Cosmos projects looking forward to, Noah? Yeah, Plasm. Thor early, yeah, that thing went wild. Pretty cool. I'm not into the smaller stuff on Polkadot. I want liquidity. When the dexes arise, yeah, I'm going to be interested. But obviously, I have my Polkadot, I have my Cosmos. Cosmos, Kava, Band, Iris. Those are the three that I have positioned. I've had them for a long time. Iris, not. I had to get Iris because of the BSN and the China narrative, and Kava, I think, has a lot of potential. But Polkadot, the only thing I have is Plasm. I've had that for a long time. That was the lock drop. So I threw like 6 Ethereum into that lock drop like May of last year, June, July. It was the middle of last year or something like that. So yeah, it's a parachain, so it's a substrate blockchain, and Plasm is smart contracts for Polkadot. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, guys. It's pretty cool stuff. All right, let's wrap it up. As always, I thank you all for joining Monday, 12 p.m. I hope this helps. A little bit of insight into what I've done. Yeah, I didn't show you guys a lot. You guys saw little tidbits here and there of numbers, but you can imagine. I keep most of that private. But there's some good structure that I shared with you guys. Watch your risk. Don't take risk unless you. It's not about confidence. It's not about conviction. It's gambling. If you're taking 50% of your portfolio and putting into something, you're taking a massive risk with a lot of capital that you work really hard to acquire. Is it worth it? Sure, if it works out well and you win the bet, it's worth it. What if you don't? And I know what it's like when it doesn't work out. It hurts. And I mean that. It really does hurt. It's painful to watch something not go the direction you wanted it to go. It's heartbreaking because your hopes and dreams are in these positions. Your hopes and dreams are in these portfolios. Your hopes and dreams of freedom, financial freedom in a world controlled by fiat systems and governments that use them to control the populace. So, hopes and dreams to be free of that control. So, don't take excessive risk. Don't do it to yourselves, guys. Be smart. I mean, look, here's a good example. This is actually one of the point. I'll end on this point. So this is cash, and this is not YLA. This isn't Yearn Lazy Ape. This is liquid cash. Like, and I keep this on the side, knowing that I'm getting like nothing. I'm getting. I mean, it's a lot. Technically, 7.5% on average on 385. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's not going to pay my tax bill. And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. This is the most important thing, guys. 7.5%. I'm losing money on this position because the dollar is devaluing at probably about 15% per year. So I'm losing money holding this position. But you need to have a position like this so you have optionality. If you see an obvious bet, if I can make a 10 chip, if I can make a 50 chip, if I can, I can because I have this optionality. I have liquidity. I have a good portion of the portfolio that's available to move around in case I needed to. I mean, look, if Ethereum rips here, if it breaks the higher high, like here, this is actually how you do it. Let me show you guys. If this thing breaks the higher high, like in a big rip, like a big fat green candle, and a retest, and you see this, oh yeah, that's where you go 10x long. Right, Craig? That's where you go 10x long, right there. And then what do? When it rips 20%, you sell it. It's not because you don't love Ethereum or want to hold Ethereum. It's because it was from your cash. It was your cash. It wasn't a position. You got to return the cash home to where it came from. You sell it. And you turn your 385 into 485, 500. That's how you do it right, boys and girls. All right. Thank you all. 12:15 p.m. Monday, March 22nd. Thank you all for joining. 45 people in the stream, 25 likes. We can do better. Please tell everyone to subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.